This video is sponsored by Crimson Manifesto. Well, happy April Fools 2023 plus Ultra Fam and newcomers. So, Naruto and Dragon Ball are two series I commonly get requests to cover as a crossover, whether that be from my love of both series, the inspiration Dragon Ball had on Naruto as part of the big three, or just a general desire to see me make Naruto into a cool Kamehameha spamming badass, or vice versa, Goku being a stealthy and tactics based badass. Regardless of which of these you would personally like to see, there is still a lot of push for this idea, and I can recognize the pros for the series. However, I must admit, on the onset here, I'm not the biggest fan. Not even really for the basic scaling gap these two series develop at a really quick pace that would make lots of Naruto threats really trivial to someone like Goku, but also because I feel like a Dragon Ball character entering the world of Naruto would drag the series further from its core element that helped its lore and power system develop into something that was pretty niche for its series in the same genre as something like Dragon Ball that was inspired by Dragon Ball. Because a very common criticism for the series is always, oh well, at some point the ninja stopped acting like ninja and they were just throwing ki blasts around like they were Dragon Ball characters. And another pretty minor reason why I've never really had a lot of fondness for this idea is that most people when they suggested really want Naruto and Goku to be around the same age, which I just don't really agree with, but we'll get into that a little later. Before we begin, however, I think I already have, but I'd personally like to make it very clear I'd only really like to make this an April Fool's one-shot, so if possible I'm going to try and do my best to make it so you guys don't want to request a continuation for this unless the push is just ridiculous. Like, I'm talking well over 9,000 likes. Yeah, I know the original number was 8,000, but if you really want me to continue this goofy story, you're gonna have to really show me you want it. Now, as for how we'll do the actual act of crossing over, none of Goku's grander lore is coming with him from Dragon Ball, since it just gives us too many things to juggle and worry about. In fact, to go ahead and get it over with, I'm just going to treat him as an immaculately created organism from Shippai Otsutsuki, an organism that just kinda has abilities which act in the way that we know of his Saiyan abilities, since most crossovers happen via Deus Ex Machina anywhere, this one just being a bit better grounded in Naruto series lore. So, this means a superhuman body with great potential to grow even before any use of chakra or ki, an innate understanding of how to manipulate energy, and some transformations. These being initially Uzaru, and then later on the original SSJ forms. Though I'd like to exclude Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan 4 since one was only possible to acquire through death and then getting to continue on with your body in kind of a limbo state where it's still able to be maintained and developed, and the other requires the tail, which as a critical part to the transformation of Uzaru would be a target for Shinobi, which means Goku won't have a really good chance of getting to live with it for very long. And of course we're also going to exclude all the god forms, since he can't perform any rituals without any other Saiyans, and the closest thing he'd have to Godki would likely be Six Paths Chakra, which is pretty tricky to get a hold of. By its nature, Ultra Instinct would still be possible, but it would likely be available to anyone who worked hard enough and therefore severely nerfed. That way the power scale doesn't have to get too incredibly wonky way too fast. So, Goku lands on Earth with no technology advanced pod, instead soaring towards Earth cocooned in Shippai's chakra, until passing the moon, exposing him to a strange new chakra, causing him to land near the hidden leaf in the state of a great ape. We'll keep his canon child power level of 2, and the 10 times multiplier of Uzaru would therefore make him a 20. If the statement from Kishimoto that Madara when all was said and done was about as strong as Nappa, and the idea that a power level of 5 in Dragon Ball was about average for a human, and therefore would be in Naruto as well, this actually makes Goku at this point a fairly significant threat, especially considering his natural Saiyan adeptness for firing his energy, or in this case chakra. This making him about a C-rank threat at this point I'd say, since the Naruto world does already have giant vicious beasts. As such, it's originally assumed that this is an enemy summon or maybe a wild animal, using the monkey contract. And hearing this, Akira's Hiruzen Sarutobi arrives on the scene himself, being impressed and seeking to subdue and contract the beast himself. However, after overpowering and incapacitating the great beast, he reverts to that of an infant with a tail. Now, most versions of this story have the inclination to make Goku and Naruto contemporaries as I mentioned earlier, and this does have its merits, and has been done in interesting ways like by my friend the Storybuster, but I think Goku serving as a mentor for Naruto fits better personally, especially considering that, and I do recognize this is a very arbitrary reason to do this, but at the time of the original Dragon Ball's conclusion in 1995, Goku is physically around 40, which is fairly close to the mid to late 30s of Minato had he survived to the events of Naruto's first chapter, meaning we have a really interesting opportunity to treat him as the 4th Hokage's contemporary instead, him acting as a third to the rivalry between he and Kushina, and since we're doing that and have 3 named characters, why not put all 3 under Jiraiya? That way, a perfect sage can fulfill a perfect hermit's role. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, as first, Hiruzen feels a slightly more effective Grandpa Gohan substitute, and a far better caretaker than he was to Naruto and canon, since there are no real politics associated with this weird wild boy, resulting in Sarutobi and Enma deciding on the name Son Goku Sarutobi, or Goku for short, and thus making Goku Hiruzen's eldest son in this verse. Goku's strange transformation into a giant monkey is being treated as some new Kekkei Genkai, allowing him to receive training in the form when the opportunity presents itself, after some study of course. And this, plus the discovery of his tail as a weak point, lead to him trying to overcome this as well, allowing Goku to supplement his innate skill and hunger for Taijutsu and his incredible control over his impressive chakra, with a pretty great trump card on a full moon night, as he does also gain full control over his Uzaru, and in turn leading to Kushina and Minato growing by leaps and bounds as well, possibly 10 times, more than they had in canon at least. And as they grow as a team and compete constantly under Jiraiya's watchful eye, a great debate quickly begins to form, the conversation around whom would deserve the title of 4th Hokage most. However, Goku vehemently rejected his claim to the title, leaving mostly Minato, Kushina, and Fugaku Uchiha's names in the conversation. However, due to her status as a Jinchuriki, and his, the Uchiha clan head most burdened by the village's discrimination, both Fugaku and Kushina are ultimately ruled out, leading to the ascension of a stronger Minato, while Goku celebrates his rise to the level of Jonin and eagerly trains to rank up to Anbu as he takes on a team in the meantime, actually being named the sensei of Might Guide's Genin squad, and getting rather close to he and his perpetual Genin father Might Die. During the Third Shinobi World War, Goku accidentally loses his tail in a conflict with the Third Tsuchikage, creating a peace treaty when he shows the fruits of training with his new friend and releases the first 5 gates to make up for the loss of his tail, as he outspeeds and overwhelms the fence sitter, offering him his aid instead of death after his victory and endearing Onoki to the descendants of Sarutobi. Goku would also likely get married at some point, and as Mimi as it may seem on the outset, I feel like Sume Unuzuka, Kiba's mom, could legitimately be the best choice based on her personality and some info about Saiyan courtship we had. Though none of his children would develop his traits, don't think that'll make them irrelevant here, since with his quote-unquote Saiyan connection to nature, I could see his influence causing Sume to branch the clan out from only using ninja hounds and learn to coexist and tame any beast, as the family somehow discover rare creatures like dragons and the seemingly last dinosaurs to aid them as their shinobi companions. As time passes, things begin to stay about as in canon, as the people Goku meets and he both impact each other in amazing ways. As once he has raised his Genin up and risen to full Anbu level, the village now has another shinobi like Jiraiya whom kinda serves a special purpose outside of just doing regular shinobi work. Except instead of a spy network, he basically ends up serving as an elite coach, ironically enough since Goku doesn't really like the assassination job all that much. Think of the way that Ebisu was kinda touted in the original parts of Naruto, but actually being able to back up all that bravado. This making his job to help cultivate new talented and promising shinobi when not snatching up whatever A and S rank missions he could get his hands on, always capturing enemy shinobi unless the mission parameters dictated otherwise, and advocating their use to the village if reformed, leading to a slow swelling of the village's forces over time. By the time of Naruto's generation coming up, Goku is really excited for a chance to get to meet and train Kushina and Minato's kid. Since in canon where the guy was willing to go near decades without seeing or talking to his friends, I kinda think he'd be similar here. However, he gets his reunion when he and his rival are forced to team up to fend off the Nine Tails during an attack. But Goku ends up shooing his friend off to go take care of his family, as he has finally found an opponent to push him to his limits. As he is angered more than he ever was during the Third War by all the wanton destruction towards civilians and his home, a new power born of Goku's hard work and the righteousness his community has reflected back to him as he successfully defends the village is born. In this verse, we therefore be going with the Esso explanation for Super Saiyan, and seeing Goku get the transformation early so we stay well under that Nappa level power level, at least for now, since without foes of that level constantly challenging Goku, his growth should plateau, and not see him getting there easily or surpassing the point by a significant degree until something stronger comes along. Here, he just has pure enough heart and the necessary motivation, but he isn't exactly as strong as he would have been during the Frieza saga. Now in present day, as Kakashi has had his student for about 6 months, and hearing that Naruto even defeated his son Kiba for the tuning exams, Goku is thrilled when Kakashi brings his Genin to him, since as a bit of a hermit himself, he'd done his mourning and missing of Naruto's family from afar, thus recognizing, hopefully helping to ease his burden in the village, but not doing too much to change his circumstances for him like everyone else. But now he could do something, offering to help him hone his skills so he can have the power to do so himself, helping Naruto to master his immense chakra, and possibly even giving him tips to controlling the Nine Tails as a man who has lived to battle it and tell the tale, not to mention his own past battling his inner beasts. Sasuke would also benefit immensely from Goku's tutelage, Goku learning that he only has to show him how to do things once as he picks the technique up perfectly. But with this kind of community to aid them in their goals, I kinda see the rest of the timeline being fairly idealized, as Sasuke likely decides to remain in the village to receive more training under Goku, since he'd be more than strong enough to thwart the assassination attempt on his father by Orochimaru without his sensei's help, thus cementing him as easily stronger than the Sannin and the strongest shinobi in the world by Hiruzen's estimate, which is why he goes on to name him the 5th Hokage, not accepting no for an answer when he begins to climb. While this does make Goku somewhat happy, he still strives for higher, not believing he's the true strongest under the heavens, with an innate feeling that a stronger opponent does exist. If legends like that of the Sage of Six Paths are true, as evidenced by Jiraiya's students before he and Minato, this also gives him grounding, as over the time skip, Hiruzen does pass away naturally. Itachi and Kisame would likely avoid actually entering the village, since Goku's perfect ki control makes him resistant to genjutsu, and easily able to counter Samehada. And Goku doesn't slow down on his teaching either, since he thinks Naruto and Sasuke may be the keys to unlocking a new state of his own power, and so he takes them one of his office aides as an excuse to continue training them to bring out their full potentials. Naruto and Sasuke get incredibly strong as a result, both developing the ability to use advanced forms of Rasengan which can shoot out and even form beams, fly by making jumpable platforms of air molecules with sheer chakra control alone, and a myriad of other abilities unique to them as Jinchuriki and Uchiha. Under Goku's leadership, the Leaf continues to thrive and threaten the Akatsuki constantly in various scuffles while befriending even more villages, until Toby is forced to put things into fast forward by attempting a raid with Konan and Pain, with his real objective being to tire out the Leaf's forces and take Nagato's eyes in one fell swoop. However, that's where I think it's best we leave this one off, since it's just easy to BS our way through the rest of the story, and just still happening with Goku getting to lead the world and his students against Obito, Kabuto, and Madara. And yes, there are still definitely some highlights we could get to, like Goku getting to reunite with his dad and Minato during the war's latter half, before finally being surpassed by Naruto and Sasuke, who take down Kage with the help of Kakashi and Sakura and a stronger guy, and yada yada yada. Kakashi would then go on to relieve him of duty eventually as a 6th Hokage, and the world enters a cautious era of peace as Goku continues leading the world to grow continuously in preparation for that someone stronger always looming over the horizon. This pattern likely continuing into the Boruto era, where Goku's origins are discovered and allows us to pretty comfortably get a feel for what my take on this story would be without the need to go on for too many multiple parts. Since honestly, I said it near the end there, it was really hard not to just BS and turn this into a straight up ideal timeline from the beginning, where characters like Danzo turn good by being Goku's sensei, and uber powerful Minato saves Obito and Rin, and Kushina and Minato survive to raise Naruto and Sasuke to compete with a hybrid Saiyan Kiba or something. I personally wouldn't be too happy or satisfied with any of that, but I do hope this will at least satisfy some of the calls from my take on this scenario, and that you at least had fun while watching. That was, at the end, the goal here. Shout out to the sponsors of the channel in the forms of our members and patrons: B, Adrian Carr, Daniel Smith, Inebriated, Coder SV3, John Sullivan, Trent Rouse, Dark Shadows, Pokemon Trainer Cam, River Joy, Arcana of the Heart, Jay Array, Infernate Beast 326, Omar Cousin, Squad 100, Stephen Norton, Vegeta Whatevs, Justin Covington, Shao P, Dylan Wolfdog 31, Cordell Sanders, and Crimson Manifesto. As always, thanks for all you guys do, really does mean a lot. If you'd like to help them out, consider becoming a Patreon or a member, and remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Happy April Fools, be sure to take care of yourselves and the world around you, and as always, go beyond plus ultra. And I'll see you guys next time.